everyone. This is Mansi Vyas here. First of all, thank you so much, Harish sir, for giving me this opportunity to introduce our today's guest. Let me just quickly brief about our HR Milestone Forum. For those who are new to us, HR Milestone Forum was started and initiated in 2012 by founder of Mr. Harish Chaturvedi sir with an intention of HR professionals to returning back to the fraternity. Our vision is to be the leading HR community focused on learning and development of HR fraternity. Our mission is to be bringing together HR leaders, academics, trusted on a common platform to keenly learn and exchange knowledge so that members can achieve their potential, drive organizational performance, and advance our professions. Forum is doing various activities like HR Kitli, monthly meeting, annual events, and yes, how can I forget this webinars which has been consistently happening from last 1 month. uh, जहाँ से बहुत सारे लोग कनेक्ट हुए हैं, मैं भी वहां से ही कनेक्ट हुई हूँ. सो ये बहुत अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म दिया है सर ने कनेक्ट होने के लिए. So yes, we have a social media platform as well, like our website, Telegram channel, YouTube channel, and LinkedIn profile. So those who are new for this group, please go and register yourself. So you will get all the updates and details of HR Milestone Group. Our website is, as ma'am introduced in the chat, that www.hrmilestone.com, and LinkedIn profile are also there. So, yes, I welcome you one and all in today's session. HR Milestone Forum has successfully completed 34th session of learning and development with renowned faculties and speakers from the industry. Today is our 35th session, and we are honored to have Mr. Rama Krishnan sir, who is going to talk today about execution excellence from surgical strikes. Before I say something about sir, I just want to say when I was going through sir's profile, I found so many things, and I just try to summarize sir's profile because मैं जितना यहाँ पे बोलूँगी उतना कम हो जाएगा sir के लिए. Definitely मैंने first time visit किया था profile, I honestly say, but I'll try to summarize sir's profile. Sir has completed MBA from Institute of Management Studies from Indore. He is alumna of National Defense Academy and IIMS Indore with over 2 decades of HR and OD leadership experience across the leading MNCs and Indian corporations. Sir has 80 plus years of diverse wide experience across different industries, which includes IT, finance, services, BPO, travel, telecom and manufacturing, and many more. Areas of expertise, which is organizational design, leadership, coaching and development, HR effectiveness, HR compliances, capability building, and many more. As I said, बहुत सारी है, पर मैंने summarize किया हुआ है ये सब चीजों को. So many more expertise are there. And if I talk about present, then sir has a Proventus HR, a bespoke HR, and a learning advisory firm have established boutique of learning and development. Boutique of learning and development. Proventus HR was founded by Mr. Rama Krishnan sir in Bombay. Proventus HR now present in Bombay, Delhi NCR, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai. And I just want to say, I see this meaning from sir's video from LinkedIn, that Proventus HR means it defines people, business, and results. So yes, Proventus HR have successfully worked last year with many of clients such as Tata Consulting Engineers, EDS, Mahindra and Mahindra, GSK Pharma, Indian Navy, TERI, the Energy Research Institute of India, Hindustan Unilever, and some more others. So with this very brief introduction, I take this opportunity to welcome you, sir, on behalf of our HR Milestone family and forum. I will not take more time because we want to hear you a lot, sir. So I am sure today's program will make long-lasting impact on everybody's life, because who is attending this session today, because we have a very immense speaker with us. So welcome you, sir, on behalf of family. And so yes, it's over to you, sir. Please.
Sure. Thank you, Mansi. Thank you for a very detailed and very charming introduction. Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi, once again for the opportunity, and thank you, HR Milestone Forum, for giving me this opportunity to come here and speak to you all. What we're going to talk about today is an event in the life of the nation and its relationship with its neighbors. And we will also look at, is there something that we can learn from the same when it comes to our management practices? But before I even get there, a small little caveat. Most of the management that we practice today uh, has had its origins in military science. Right from the World War One, World War Two, the militaries across the world have been the leading proponents of studying human behavior and codifying it when it comes to leadership and management. So we will take a look at some of that. But what we tried doing was, when we said that let's look at the current situation, the upheaval that is there with the COVID and its impact, and the fact that a large number of teams are facing disruption, both in terms of the way they work and in terms of the way they will need to work once we get back to our workplaces. We said, which are the teams across the globe which do this very well? And once again, we kind of were able to go back to the military examples and saying how the wars are planned for and fought. Now, war is a subject, an extensively large subject that we probably cannot even try comprehending or covering in a 2 hour kind of a session. So we looked at, is there a micro war that recently has happened, which is fresh in everybody's memory? And therefore we came across this surgical strike, which was executed brilliantly, and at the same time kind of exemplifies or glorifies what really the militaries stand for. And thereby, we are now going to talk about special operations surgical strikes. So I will kind of play up my screen. Just give me a moment. Is my screen visible? Not yet. One moment.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Now it is visible. All right.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about lessons from Indian Army, special operations, surgical strikes. My suggestion to you is keep uh, yourself on mute. And if you want to conserve on video, you can also put your videos on mute. We will have opportunities of being able to communicate during the session, at which point in time you can unmute yourself and talk to me. But the best in a non-intrusive manner is to use the chat window. I will be accessing the chat window as we go along and will be happy to answer if at all I'm able to pick up something that is as a question. This is a little bit about me, which Mansi has brilliantly covered, other than the fact that, yes, we do a lot of work on experience-based learning, and I'm proud to be alumnus of National Defense Academy, and this is something that I hold dear to myself and in the way I have shaped up as a professional. As an organization, we believe that adults learn through experiences, but at the same time, we are very poor learners because experiences happen to us on a day-to-day basis, but we don't learn from all of them. The experiences that we learn from are experiences that we kind of get immersed into. And when I say immersed, I mean to say that these are experiences that move us either positively or shake us up in a negative way, the kind of effect that they have on us. And when this kind of a profound experience happens at the time when we reflect upon it. Therefore, what we kind of specialize in is to be able to create immersive reflective experiences so that adults can learn on their own. Because there's one thing which is guaranteed, that none of you 66, 67 people who are here on call today are going to learn anything just because a guy with a white beard is saying something. Which also means is the fact that we don't learn from PPTs. We will learn through experiences, exploring, creating, connecting, and interacting with the world and each other, and not just looking at the slides. So a very earnest request before I start the session is, please Please keep talking back to me. Please keep asking. Please keep agreeing or disagreeing with me on the chat window. And that's how we will continue to have a conversation which we both will be able to learn from. All right. Before we start, just a small little clip for you to see.
Spread out, everybody! Spread out! Sorry, sweetie, pass it to Trent. Trent! Okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, guys, remember, do the thing we practiced. Remember? No, not that thing. The other thing we practiced. Okay, time out. Time out. Everybody, come in. Come in now, everybody. Treats! I got treats! There we go. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, right? Andy, I want you out on the wing. Trent, I want you to fake the pass to Andy, push the ball up the field, and then pass the ball to your forwards, Sophie and Chris. Sophie, I want you to hold the ball and draw the defense out to you, all right? Then I want you to float a long pass all the way over the defense to Chris. Chris, you take it in for the score, just like we did in practice. Everybody got it? Let's go get them!
All right. Does this look familiar? And you can chat back with me on the window very quickly. Can we have some responses? This short little clip that we saw, does this look familiar? All right. Okay. So let's look at some of our challenges, the way these kind of reactions happen within the teams on a day-to-day basis. So what I suggest is, if you can come to Mentimeter. So what I suggest is, if you can go to menti.com and enter the code 41329 on menti.com. Everybody, please come on menti.com, enter the code 41329, and I will present it here. The question that I wanted to answer is, what are some of the key challenges that you face with the teams operating in a virtual environment and work from home? Can we have some answers on the Menti? On your browser, just open menti.com and use the code 41329 as we get warmed up. Okay, so we have one response, not talking to each other. Obviously, there is no line of sight, no physical proximity. They seem to be disengaged. All right. We are some 75 participants here. I will need at least 50 responses before I move on. Yes, please. Thank you. Lack of sincerity, no eye contact, no line of sight, lack of coordination, therefore, because they're physically not in the same space. There are network issues. Of course, people are operating from all over the country. Communication becomes a big challenge. The teamwork takes a beating. People not talking to each other, lack of coordination, internet connectivity issues, a lot of energy issues. People seem to be having less energy. Some of them, of course, are curious. Dress code, of course, is a challenge, and uh, well, it's quite a joke about taking video conferences, wearing boxers and a shirt and a tie on top. Wants manager to manage, late reply and responses, not being attentive enough, some amount of chaos, trust issues, no productive outcome. Okay, unequal connectivity. It is overwhelming to some extent for some people. Out of sight, out of mind, and therefore for a manager to be able to reach out to everybody becomes extremely critical. People have to balance home responsibility with work responsibility and being at home at all points in time. The expectation is to help manage the same. Possible lack of responsibility, no goal clarity, most definitely, lack of team focus, need for emotional intelligence to be there, infrastructure issues, yes, we have spoken. So yes, largely the issues that come across what we are facing in the current VUCA environment and the current unprecedented times are around communication, trust, empathy, coordination, engagement, and of course, technical issues such as network issues. Let's move forward a little and let's look at what Indian Army does, or any special forces for that matter, but we are more familiar with the surgical strikes of the Indian Army Special Forces, and so we will talk about it. Let's look at what the surgical strike was all about and how it got planned and executed.
These launch pads are close to the line of control.
It was very clear that some kind of a very demonstrative retribution will have to take place.
The Uri attack could not go unanswered. The Indian government decides to take military action to destroy terror launch pads across the line of control.
The message had to go to Pakistan that if you are going to come and hit us on our side, we can also come across and hit you on your side.
Decision is made. India will put boots on the ground across the line of control. Two of the Indian Army's elite paratrooper special forces units operating out of Jammu and Kashmir are given the job. They know the enemy better than anyone else. Multiple targets would be hit across the line of control in PO.
Each and every component of the target, the exact number of strengths which were there, and one of the places we also knew the name of the terrorist commander who was there.
It was time to plan the assault.
We got to an area where nobody could see us, not even our own parties. The surprise had to be maintained.
Major Zed's team crosses the line of control. Strike teams 1 and 2 take assault positions. Both teams would attack at first light. It's a waiting game. 3, 2, 1. Our time.
The Indian Army conducted surgical strikes last night at East Patch. The operations were basically focused to ensure that these terrorists do not succeed in their design of infiltration and carrying out destruction and endangering the lives of citizens of our country. During these counter-terrorist operations, significant casualties have been caused to the terrorists and those who are trying to support them.
All right. So, surgical strikes familiar to all of us, fresh in our memories, and just refresh it using this 2-minute clip. The beauty of the surgical strikes was that this was done deep in Pakistani enemy territory across the line of control, and significant enemy targets were neutralized. Yet, in the way that the entire operation was conducted, it is an exemplary success, considering there was not a single casualty on the Indian side, especially the troops that went in to conduct these operations. And these surgical strikes are considered to be massive success. So what really made this possible is something that we're going to look at. We will not do this because the Prime Minister is making an address at 8, and therefore we will need to finish this session at 8. But let's look at the army way and how the army does it. And the way army does it is by a set of small little actions which we have kind of collated together as a Z kit bag. Z kit bag is nothing but an acronym which essentially expands into Z, a Z for Zamini Nishan, or the fact that there needs to be a common reference to be able to give a singular landscape definition to every participant of the team. And we will take a look at what it means and how does it translate into a corporate world. K is for khabar or information. I is for irada or the objective or the motive. T is for tarkeeb or the method or the solution. B, body, a relationship of trust within the team. A is for andaz, is for a sense of pride and accomplishment that each of the troops have in their own unit, platoon, and regiment. And of course, last but not the least, Ghadi Milao, which is all about saying, are we all synchronized on what our deliverables are at what points in time? Let's look at the Mentimeter and let's look at which of the Z kit bag elements do we think our team is good at. I will skip out of this and we'll go straight to that slide. All right, so which of the Z kit bag elements do you think your team is good at? Zamini Nishan, the business landscape, khabar, the information that one needs to be able to deliver on. Irada is the objective and the motive. Tarkeeb is the solution or the method. Badi is relationship of trust. Andaz is pride in the team. And Ghadi Milao is how synchronized are we. Go to menti.com and use the code 41329 and kindly give your answers. All right, khabar. Okay, irada is what we're good at. Irada, which is the objective. Khabar, body, relationship trust, Ghadi Milao, synchronized action. Okay, that's 5 responses. All right, Divya, all of them, good. Bari, Andaz, Pride. Some more quick responses before we move on. Irada, Andaz. All right, great. All right, so we'll move on from here and we'll come back and revisit this in a while. Let's come to the lessons. So there are 7 alphabets that we're going to talk about. Z, KIT, BAG. Let's look at the first one.
हमें यकीन हो गया था कि इसका जवाब देना बहुत ज़रूरी है और ये सिर्फ मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, पूरे आर्मी हेडक्वार्टर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से काफ़ी जल्दी ये डिसीजन ले लिया गया था कि इसका जवाब देना ज़रूरी है और ये जवाब छोटा मोटा नहीं लेकिन काफ़ी बड़े पैमाने पर होना चाहिए जिसका मैसेज पाकिस्तान को बड़ा पहुँचे। देखिए पहले तो गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से क्लियर हुक्म था कि मल्टीपल टारगेट्स को स्ट्राइक करना है, ये नहीं कि एक ही जगह जाएंगे और जो टेररिस्ट कैंप्स हैं ये खास टारगेट होंगे इस सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के।
All right, so Z for
हमें यकीन हो गया था कि इसका
So Zamini Nishan is nothing but your environmental scan. What is the business looking like? What is the lay of the land? What is the landscape looking like? So that everybody is on the same page. And if you've seen some military movies or some army movies or some commando movies, before the start of any operation, the typical starting scene is Samne ek pahad ke upar darakht. So the idea is to take everybody to one big land feature, which is the hill. And then say on top of that hill, there's a 0 point, that's the tree. And from that tree, 3 p.m., which is on the right-hand side, 90 degrees, and that's where your target is. So the entire referencing and the zeroing happens through Zamini Nishan or the environmental scan. That gives you a perspective. The question therefore is, have you assessed the new business realities for your team and the capabilities with which the team will need to operate and deliver? And that's a corporate question that I'm leaving you with. Has this landscape been shared and discussed with the team? So the answer is maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe some of the answers even we are not aware of. But what becomes extremely critical for us is how do we continue to map our environment around us, especially as leaders, as people responsible for further teams that are working with us. So for which what we recommend is a SWOT app in the corporate terms. And SWOT is very, very clear and we are all aware of what SWOT stands for: strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. I will not spend time on that. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. But what's very important is A and F. And if we are looking at being able to work with people, it becomes extremely critical, especially in times which are unprecedented like this, because each one of us is going through a whole host of emotions. Any guesses on chat? What would A stand for very quickly? If it is S, okay, actions. Any, some more ideas? When it comes to human beings and their emotions, what would be? Adaptable. Something else? Adoption? Okay, no. Yeah, feelings, but it's an A word. It starts with A. Attitude. Something that takes me to work every day. From A. What do I? Action, okay. Why do? Ambition. All right. Yes. So in a way, okay, achievement orientation, aspiration. Mansi, you got that word right. A is for aspirations. Each one of us comes with a set of aspirations and ambition, of course. And therefore, it's very critical for us as a leader to be able to map the aspirations of our people, to be able to do a pull when it comes to being able to motivate and lead them on in the current environmental context. Now, A is for aspiration, but there's something that holds me back. What would F stand for? Fear. Great one, Akshay. F is for fear. Fear is what holds me back. And as a manager, if I am aware of what my team member is fearful of, it becomes extremely easy for me to create situations where I can nudge this team member to be able to come up and take greater responsibility. So when it comes to Zameen Nishan or environmental scan, in order to be able to do at least for my team, A and F becomes very critical aspects. Let's look at the second alphabet. Second alphabet was in the entire 7 alphabets. The second alphabet was K, right, Viknesh? And K is for खबर.
रिलेटेड और ऑपरेशन से रिलेटेड जो अपना हमारा मिशन था उससे रिलेटेड ट्रेनिंग थी, उससे रिलेटेड जितने भी हमें डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जरूरत थी, जितने भी हमें मैथ्स की, जितने हमें अलग अलग चीजों की जरूरत थी, वो सारा हमने कलेक्ट किया. उसका हम लोगों ने सैंड मॉडल.
All right. So what we have here is one of the commandos who actually went for that raid, talking about how they gathered all the information and how they made sure that they had all information available to them to the extent that they were able to mimic even a sand model of the target areas. So K is for cover, is for information. And the question that becomes applicable to the corporate world is, does your team have all the information and insights needed for them to be successful? And more importantly, is your team aware of what each member of the team is responsible for? Now, that's easier said than done, because as leaders, we all know how easy or difficult it is for us to be able to decide how much of information is enough and who is the right recipient for the information. So for that, we have a very quick little model. And while we're running out on time, so I will share this with Dr. Chaturvedi, who can then give it to you in case you want to go through it again. Essentially, what we have is, if our team members have two axes on which we can assess them, one is responsibility, high and low responsibility, and one is their authority orientation, low and high. There are a set of people who will have low responsibility and low authority, typically people who are at entry level, feet on street kind of jobs. Number two would be people who typically have high authority but low responsibility, are people who've been in the system for a while, they enjoy authority, but when it comes to taking responsibility, they shun or move away from it. Box 3 is high responsibility and low authority. These are youngsters or well-meaning, enthusiastic people, extremely loyal and committed, who will take responsibility to execute whatever we give them, but for various reasons, currently in the hierarchy of things, have low authority. And of course, high responsibility and high authority are our stars. Now, if we have to look at being able to keep everybody informed, at the same time be able to manage our time well, we need to map it with the quantum of information. High responsibility doesn't require so much volume of information, but critical information is important. Low responsibility requires a lower load of information for them to feel moved into action. Low authority requires high contextualization for them to gain confidence. But if you're high in authority and self-moving, self-driven, you don't need too much of context. You just need which way to head in. And if you were to bring these two together, box 1, which is people who are pretty much low in both authority and responsibility, they need a bit of detailed information for them to make sense of it. Box 2, which is high authority and low responsibility, need to receive information on FYI. So they need to be kept abreast of everything that's happening around, but more as an FYI, because they do understand what and how it has to be done. Box 3, which are your enthusiastic people, need channeled information so that they can be guided into the right focus or right direction. And box 4, which is your high authority and high responsibility, they need information to be reinforced to them at critical junctures for them to continue working forward. I will take the questions for this after the session. Please hold your questions if at all you have any on this. Let's come to the next alphabet. Now we've done Z and K. What's the third alphabet? Any guesses? I. All right. Pritesh, thank you very much. Let's see what I stands for.
जितना हमारे ऊपर वो कर रहे हैं, तो अभी यानी कि हद से भी यानी ऊपर चला गया है, पानी अभी ऊपर है, तो हमें जल्दी से जल्दी इसके क्या है ऑर्डर मिलना चाहिए और जल्दी हमें इसका रिएक्ट करना चाहिए. जितने उनके लॉन्चिंग पैड हैं या कुछ जहाँ से यानी कि इन्विटेशन वो कर रहे हैं, जिसके माध्यम से कर रहे हैं, तो उनको सबक सिखाना बहुत जरूरी है. हमने ये सारा हादसा आपने टीवी में देखा, तो जब उन शहीदों की मतलब थीम था, तो इसलिए ऐसा सोल्जर ये लगा कि नहीं, अभी हमारे एक समय आ गया कि हम इन पाकिस्तानियों को कुछ ना कुछ सबक।
Great. So I is for Irada or the motive or the objective, as we call it.
जितना हमारे
It's also about clarity of thought in every member of my team as to which is the way the team wants to move forward and achieve its objectives. Questions are, does your team have clarity of thought about the goals and how can they achieve these goals together as a team? It is about the resolve to move together, Sanjay, rightly so, to be able to achieve the team's objective. It's about the clarity of thoughts, ideas, and the way forwards. Right. Now, how do we achieve this in a corporate world? Is there a model that supports us? So while of course we do our objective setting, we do talk about smart objectives, but we do find that as we go along a month or two down the line, somewhere it's the entire resolve starts kind of going away and we have to keep coming back and reinforcing it. So there's a small little 5 question that we kind of recommend, which essentially is the Irada framework, which is the first thing is that there needs to be in my objective an action verb. An action verb is something that propels me to action. What example of an action verb would be? Anybody can use the chat window to answer. What would be the to ensure? Okay. Anybody else? Action verb, something that propels me into action. To do, okay. To run, all right, Viknesh. Anybody else? Action verb. Chalo karte hain. To monitor, to achieve, Gaurav, right? So first is to achieve, okay, yeah, like Hamla. To act, to motivate. So there has to be to execute, to excel. So the first important aspect is there needs to be an action verb. So for example, let's take in the current scenario, to reduce. So it becomes very clear what our objective is. The second is the object of the action. And therefore, to reduce what, or to increase what, to advise what, to establish what, to excel in what. So for example, to reduce cost, and that's the obvious one, considering what we're going to get into. The third thing is by how much, and therefore there needs to be a target. So let's say, for example, 10%. So to reduce administrative costs by 10%. Now, do we have a lifetime to do this? No. And therefore, by when? Right? This is where the SMART framework comes in. By when? But you know, when we articulate objectives in this framework, there is a big question that kind of remains open, and which is in the minds of people who work with us, is which is fine. This is a great objective to have, but what do we do about it? How do we go about doing something about it? And therefore, my suggestion is, you know, at the beginning of setting such an objective, and at various points in time, you will look at reviewing this objective. But the critical part is by articulating or by writing down by doing what. So, for example, to reduce administrative costs by 10% by half year 2020-2021, by doing what? By reviewing our travel cost, by reviewing our overheads in terms of office administration costs, by reviewing our travel costs, and so on and so forth. What it does is it one gives your team a perspective, a clear perspective of what to focus on. It also tells them in a way to not make those costs if possible. So it is able to bring the team very clearly onto a single motive or the irada. Let's move on. Let's move to the next letter. And what would the next letter be? All right, Viknesh, you're ready with the answer. The next letter is T. All right, Sunan, thank you. Let's look at what T stands for.
हमारी जो माइंड गेमिंग है, वॉर गेमिंग है, वो हमारी शुरू हो गई थी. जो हमारा सिलेक्शन ऑफ ट्रूप्स, जो हमारा सिलेक्शन ऑफ वेपन्स, सिलेक्शन ऑफ इक्विपमेंट अगले दिन से ही हमने शुरू कर दिया था. ए टू जेड जितने भी लोग होते हैं, सब चाहते हैं कि हम हर ऑपरेशन का हिस्सा हों.
इसमें कम्युनिकेशन, मेडिकल, वेपन, डेमोलिशन, सभी स्किल में एक एक बंदा हर स्पोर्ट में.
ट्रूप्स के सिलेक्शन करने के बाद हम लोगों ने अपने टारगेट से रिलेटेड और ऑपरेशन से रिलेटेड जो अपना हमारा मिशन था उससे रिलेटेड ट्रेनिंग थी, उससे रिलेटेड जितने भी हमें डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जरूरत थी, जितने भी हमें मैप्स की, जितने हमें अलग अलग चीजों की जरूरत थी, वो सारा हमने कलेक्ट किया। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक की प्रिपरेशन के लिए सबसे पहले जो हमारा टारगेट सेम टारगेट जैसा कि हमें ग्राउंड पे मिलेगा वैसा टारगेट हमने बनाया। फिर उसके ऊपर हमने वॉर गेमिंग की, जिसमें कि हमारे सारे के सारे ट्रुप जिन्होंने उसमें हिस्सा लेना था, वो सारे बैठ के फिर पूरी रात हम लोग इस पे डिस्कशन करते थे कि कहाँ से क्या पॉसिबिलिटीज है, हम कैसे जाएंगे, कैसे इसे कंडक्ट करेंगे, कैसे इसे कैरी आउट करेंगे, और उसमें जितने भी कंटिजेंसी प्लानिंग सब कुछ हम लोगों ने उसे लगभग 2 रात और 2 दिन में बैठ के ये सारा प्लानिंग किया।
All right, so T is for Tarkib, method, solution, plan.
हमारी जो माइंड गेम, हमारी
The method. The question that I want to leave you with is your team aware of specific plans and processes in place that they must follow to achieve the desired goals and succeed? Now, especially in unprecedented times, in the times of such volatility, in the times when things are going up and down as we go along, it's very important for us as leaders to first look at being able to think big. And think big is being able to show something which is a big, noble, hairy objective which one needs to follow. But at the same time, move very quickly and be able to act small so that you're able to create actions and instances which people can follow, and then move very quickly to put those things in place. Think big, act small, move quick is a very interesting and a very engaging methodology to give confidence to your troops, to be able to involve them, to be able to come up to terms when it comes to being able to be on the same page when it is on Tarkib. Next alphabet. All right, Sunan, Viknesh, B. Sunan beat Viknesh to the answer. Let's look at the B, which stands for.
ये बडीज एक साथ खाते पीते रहते और काम करते हैं। पैराएसएफ में सारी टेक्निक्स, ट्रेनिंग और स्किल्स बडी सिस्टम के इर्द गिर्द ही घूमती हैं। आपका बडी ही आपका सब कुछ होता है। वो आपके लिए जान दे भी सकता है और जान ले भी सकता है।
All right. So we looked at B for buddy, and buddy is a very critical element of all special forces. In fact, extends into other regiments as well. B is for buddy. Now, what would buddy stand for? So let's look at what it stands. It is about trust. Yes, Kathy. B for buddy. It's a shadow. It's a twin. It's a pillar of strength. It's all about relationships. And the question that I want to ask you is, for each member of your team, is there someone close to help, support, and guide, as well as act as a backup when the going gets tough? And if you remember the questions that or the answers that we got to the fact that what is the challenge that you're facing with, a lot of time, trust, emotional, empathy, all of those keep coming up, especially when we are not in a line of sight. When we're in the line of sight, working together in the same physical space, it becomes easy for us to connect with people. If you're feeling sad, somebody looks at us and comes around and asks us, hey, RK, how are you feeling? But when I'm not visible, when I'm not in front, how do I kind of let people know what I'm feeling? How do you get to know that I'm not feeling good? And therefore, it becomes very important to have a relationship of trust within the team, wherein team can openly come back and be able to, yes, come back and say, "Main hoon na." Great. All right. So let's look at one of the models of building trust, and it's called trust equation. So before I disclose the trust equation, let me ask you. We've been speaking for what, almost 45 minutes now. Do you guys trust me a little? Maybe just a little bit? Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Namita. All right, Hussain, Juhi, Sunan. Yes, Khyati. Thank you. Mansi. Yes. Lekha. Yes. Heli. Yes. Tina. Madan Singh. Mayur. All right, great. So what do you think I've been doing in the last 45 minutes that makes me a little more trustworthy? So you can unmute yourself to answer this part, and then you can mute yourself back. So what do you think I've been doing which makes me a little more trustworthy? And I've done something. Okay, so one is to help you connect with your confidence, affirm with your own abilities, helping to work together.
You seem
Okay,
to be transparent.
I seem to be transparent. All right. So what does being transparent do? Okay, speaking in the context and speaking your pain points, sharing info and knowledge. So let's look at these things for a while. Speaking in context, pain points, information, knowledge, and experience. What does it establish for me? What does it say about me? That I am
Trustworthy.
okay. That's one. The trustworthy is the final objective, but the one part of being trustworthy is that I am knowledge, experience. What would knowledge and experience establish for me? It's an English word with C.
Confidence.
Confidence, okay. Competence, all right, yes.
Conviction.
Credibility.
Credibility. So my experience, my ability to link back corporate concepts to what I'm trying to bring in here, be able to relate with experience, being able to map military terms with corporate terms establishes a kind of credibility, right? Also, the fact that I am able to continuously bring that up also establishes my reliability. That yes, perhaps what I'm speaking makes sense. Is that so? There's a third and very interesting element that comes from communication, that comes from transparency, that comes from my being able to interact with you, my empathy, as Lekha said, and some other Mohan said about trust, Vaibhav said about sharing. What does this kind of bring about? My interactions with you. What does it help establish? Okay, my ability to connect, and what does that result in? So let's focus our relationship. Okay, some more receptivity. All right, we kind of comfortable with each other, right? The emotional connect, right? And therefore, the third element of the trust equation is the intimacy, and which we call professional intimacy. So we have credibility, reliability, and intimacy, which I've been able to perhaps establish a little bit. But there's something that I could have done which may not have added to trust. What could that be? Something that I could have done which was negative. So what would that be that would reduce my trustworthiness if I were to do that? If I were to, okay, cheat, yes, all right. Could be one thing. The fact that I act as I know it all right. Talk negative, Snehata, okay. Seemingly fake, focus on myself, lack of knowledge, use the subject to market something else, pointing at weaknesses, dishonesty, not addressing your questions or contradicting, or not listening to others. And in all of these, in a way, I would be very self-oriented, isn't it? False reporting also. So misguiding, yes. So I'll be very self-oriented. I'm trying to project myself. I'm trying to market myself. I'm trying to move on my own agenda. I am not bothered about how you're feeling, what you're understanding, what you're not understanding. I'm very self-oriented. That would reduce a fake projection, as Jalpa says. So for me to be trustworthy, I need to continuously work on my credibility, reliability, and intimacy, and take care of my self-orientation and reduce it or eliminate it if possible. This leads to trustworthiness. And when we go back to our teams, we will realize, and when we look at people we trust, we'll realize that the people with high credibility, high reliability, when they say something, they will do it. The people whom we connect with, and the people who don't seem to be very self-oriented or self-focused, they have our good in mind. Once we have these four things in place, we are able to trust them. Now, this was about B. What is it about? What's the next alphabet? All right, Viknesh, you beat Sunanda this time. A it is, and let's look at what A stands for.
The paratrooper is a soldier par excellence.
He can work independently. He has got the skills to jump from the skies with a parachute, and he can plan operations independently as an individual or as a buddy team. It's very important to be mentally fit and physically fit. And that is what a paratrooper is made of.
All right. So this is commanding officer of the paratroopers talking about what really makes a paratrooper. And A is of course for Andaz, which is the pride. And if you look at it, the motto or things that a paratrooper lives by is men apart, every man an emperor. And the fact is that the entire flair, yes, Sanjay, that it's what differentiates a man and the fact that each one of us takes pride in being the best that I can be, and therefore every man an emperor. Andaz, the way of doing things, the flair, and the entire sense of pride. And the question I have is, does your team have an event, a motto, or an achievement to feel proud of that they can emulate or follow or refer back to push themselves forward and ensure success in these times? Now, the times are tough now, and the times are going to be tougher when we get back full-fledged to work. Another 6 months, a lot of turmoil, a lot of stress in everybody's life. Targets will remain steep or will perhaps seem much more steep than we started out the year with. And the fact is that we still will need to get our teams to rally around and get and achieve them. We will be crestfallen. As leaders, therefore, can we refer back to and say, hey, listen, guys, in the last financial year, Q3, we were the team that achieved exceptional level of execution. Can we now refer back to that and say, we can still go ahead and achieve even in these trying and tough times? And therefore, very important to be able to instill a sense of pride and belonging in the team. Very simple model. We will not spend time here, but something that we suggest is to be able to instill the why and the how and the what in the team. And it's very critical because it gives a sense of purpose to the team. Why is the purpose, why we do what we do? How is the way, how you do what you do? And the what is the value. What is it that you offer? And you don't need to redefine it. Each of these are easily, you can draw them from your mission and vision statement, the purpose, the way, and the value. All right. Now let's come to the last alphabet. And what would that alphabet be? Okay, Sunan and Viknesh, you've been waiting for it. Viknesh still beats Sunan for a while. G, and G is, let's look at how the G plays out.
पीछे हमने होल्ड किया और उधर से हमने क्या दोबारा रेकी करना शुरू कर दिया उनकी। हम लोग उनके सेंट्रीज को हम लोग देख पा रहे थे, उनकी पेट्रोलिंग पार्टी जो घूम रही थी तो उनके हथियार जैसे कि वो पीछे लेके घूम रहे थे अपने बैग पे, तो ये हम लोग ये सारा चीज ऑब्जर्व कर रहे थे। बस हमने जो डिसाइड किया था कि इस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पे हम लोग अपना स्ट्राइक करेंगे, हम लोग बस उस अपॉर्चुन टाइम का वेट कर रहे थे। जब अपॉर्चुनिटी की बात आएगी, जब हमें स्ट्राइक का टाइम आएगा, हम अपने टाइम के हिसाब से अपना सारा चीज, अपना सारा एम सब लोग एक साथ जहां पे भी हमें स्ट्राइक करना है उस चीज को देखते हुए फिर हम स्ट्राइक करेंगे।
All right. So G for Ghadi Milao, which is about alignment, synergy, handovers, synchronization. Gaurav, I will, you can connect with me and I'll let you know where this documentary can be easily accessed. All right, Ghadi Milao, essentially about alignment, synergy, and handovers. Let's look at how does this kind of play out. It's about match the time. And if you've seen those commando movies before they start the firing, the commanding officer points to his watch and then everybody sitting around them, they zero the time and they match the time. And it's very critical. And while of course in the real life fire scenario, it is extremely, extremely critical because you will lose your lives. So if you see this commando, when he's talking about it, he says he's sitting 20, 25 meters away from the target. Yet they held their fire and they kept themselves hidden because there is a sequence of events that they've built, planned, and prepared for. If anybody were to fire earlier, they will get discovered before other teams can get into the place. Therefore, it's extremely critical. Now, how it happens in corporate is, you need to be able to, does the team have an exact understanding of the timelines to adhere to and ensure alignment of the tasks and deliver with high impact synergies? It's also not just about my own SLAs or my own deliverables. It's also about being able to ensure that the handover is complete. And more so in the current set of times, when things are going haywire, when we are physically not present with each other, when we don't know whether what we have sent as a mail been read by somebody else, there is communication and coordination challenges which are significant. And therefore, what's very important is that we are able to actively do something to ensure that the Ghadi Milao is happening across the teams. So, not a great rocket science, just a very simple thing which each one of us during our MBA has studied, or if some of us are engineers, this is the first year syllabus, which is the communication model. Now, we all know the message from encoding to message via the channel to decoding, and then the fact that it kind of gets disturbed, dissipated by the noise or the nature of the medium that we are sending it via. As also in the heads of the person who's receiving it, he may understand the message in a very different manner. What becomes critical in such times that we are living in now is that we are able to eliminate these gaps which happen because of all these noise and the stress and the fatigue and the emotional issues that are happening around us, is by taking feedback. So, for example, if I were to say something, the other person may acknowledge and say, yeah, got it. But it's very important for me as a leader to go back to him and say, hey, listen, but okay, so tell me what have you understood? Tell me what is it that you're going to do about it. The moment he's or she is able to come back and tell me in the same manner as I want him or her to do, the feedback loop is complete and the Ghadi has been set to the same time. We are both on the same page, right? That's about Ghadi Milao or synchronize. So these are some 7 quick alphabets, 7 quick lessons. The armed forces practice this on a daily, ongoing basis. And this is why when they get into the operational space, it becomes extremely easy for them to adhere to these principles. Now, let's look at which of these secret bag elements do you think your team needs to improve upon? And for this, I'll take you back to the so go to mentee.com and enter the code 41329. Which of the Z kit bag elements do you think your team needs to improve upon? Now that you have looked at all the 7 alphabets, which of these do you think is an area of improvement for your team? Zamini Nishan, Khabar, Irada, Tarki, Andaz, or Ghadi Milao. And Buddy, so trust, synchronization, motive. All right. Okay. Ghadi Milao, synchronization, alignment, handovers. Very important, especially when we are operating in work from home or virtual team environment. Clarity on irada and motive becomes very, very important. It's very critical for us to be able to establish a relationship of trust and therefore buddy. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Zamini Nishan. Khabar, Tarkeeb, Andaz also continue to be important aspects. All right, so before we kind of move on, just a, a very quick one. Do we have more time, or would we want us to close at this point in time? Okay, so we will continue very. Okay, Sanjay. Anybody else? Okay, for those of you who need to, may
So we can
please
continue.
log on. Yes, I do understand. Yeah, we will continue. We will continue. For the people who need to drop off, thank you very much for having been part of this. And we will look forward to connecting with you at later point in time. Let's continue. So let's look at further application of these 7 concepts. And let's look at doing some caselets around it. So first case is about Nasser. So what I want you to do is, while we are continuing and while we are discussing these cases, talking about it, on a piece of paper, write down which of these alphabets do you think applies here. So nothing has changed, Nasser thought. We used to work from home earlier too. The team should be able to adopt and pull things off. 2 weeks into the project, chaos, deadlines missed, duplication of work, projects not moving forward, people coming forward with conflicts and issues. However, the team engagement remains reasonably high. Nasser starts to introspect what just happened. So don't answer me on the chat. Just write down what do you think is the issue here. Z, KIT, BAG. Zameen Nishan, Khabar, Irada, Tarkib, Badi, Andaz, Gadi Milao. All right. We'll move to the second case study or caselet. Annie. Meet Annie. Annie wanted to catch up with Ben for a task. She pinged on the team chat group, no reply. Pinged individually on WhatsApp, no reply. She called him up and surprisingly, Ben's wife picked up the phone and said he's gone for a bath. Now, Ben has been hardworking, but the fact that he's not following a schedule and is taking a long shower during work hours had made Annie to start wondering, is Ben working? And I'm sure this is something that each one of us has faced in the last 1.5 months, right? So what do you think could be the issue here? Write down on a piece of paper. Done, everybody? Okay, let's come to the third case. Meet Jay. Among Jay's team, Tanaya has been a star performer. Recently, Jay has started receiving some escalations from customers about Tanaya, much to Jay's surprise. Jay wonders if he's missed something. How could this just happen? Neither Tanaya nor anybody else in the team has come forward to report anything wrong in the weekly catch-ups. And hence, Jay thinks, all is going well with my team, else I would have known it. Jay feels puzzled and wants to start tracking the events and diagnose this. So what do you think could be the issue here? Z, KIT, BAG. Okay, let's go to the next case study. Meet Suprabha. Suprabha is known for keeping and expecting high standards of work from herself and her team. The team feels that the work is not appreciated and recognition from Suprabha is very rare to come. She only focuses on driving for results and is a hard taskmaster. Suprabha notices the team motivation levels are down and she doesn't know why. What could be the issue here? Zamini Nishan, Khabar, Irada, Tarkib, Badi, Andaz, or Gadi Mila. Let's look at the next case. Meet Raghav. Raghav is all excited to lead a stretch project. Raghav has outlined the project for Roy, Satish, Yusuf, and Priya. Roy, Satish, Yusuf, and Priya, as they would be playing major roles for technical support. Raghav has roped in Raj, a newcomer who has stretched a lot, and his work in the recently ended project was much appreciated. Raj seemed visibly disinterested and unsure of the ask from him of what is he supposed to do as the project began. And Raghav, his manager, doesn't know what's happening or why. Therefore, what do you think is the problem here? Zamini Nishan, Khabar, Irada, Tarkib, Badi, Andaz, or Gadi Milao? Z, KIT, BAG. Next case, meet Anupama. This is the 6th case. 4 weeks into work from home, Rakshit and Amit were struggling to find a foothold on the team. Rakshit has missed 2 team meetings. whereas smaller teams were to connect and present the progress on customer deliverables. The customers did not hear from him the whole week, and when they tried to reach out, he said he was waiting to hear from them in case anything went wrong. Amit is unable to address the changing requirements of the customer as he does not understand the unique challenges in a highly impacted market considering COVID. He also is unsure of the revised SOPs for the lockdown period. Anupama does not know how to fix the situation. So what do you think is the problem here? Z, K, I, T, B, A, G. And the last case study, meet Sumit. Ritika has been managing the process, coordinating with other teams and the customer teams for about 6 months now. The operating norms for data exchange and information flow in the new situation were drafted at Sumit's level. Sumit thinks there is no change in the process for the team. One of the customers had shared data error and team member in a daily call to be shared with quality control team to fix the bug. The error came up again the next day, leading to the customer billing complaints. The quality team is not aware of the issue. The customer's manager sends an escalation to Sumit. All right. So what do you think is happening here? Z, KIT, BAG. Okay, so let's have your answers. Let's have it on the Menti. The number has changed, guys. So my request is just enter menti.com again and put the number 529462. Kindly log in for the quiz so that I can start the quiz. 3 people logged in, 4. The total of 40 participants remaining, at least 30 of you, please be on the quiz. Menti.com and use the code 529462. Okay, 8 participants, some more please, quickly. The sooner we have more people here, the sooner we'll start. The code Mansi is 529462. Okay, 15 participants, at least 5 more before we start. This is the Menti quiz. You will need to give a right answer, and the fastest person to give the right answer will get the most points. Switch it. Wrong answer will not give you negative points. It will be just 0 points. Some more people on the quiz, please. 15 people, 5 more people, please. All right, so we will start the quiz in any case. Okay. Which of the Z kit bag elements do you think is applicable in the case of Nasser? You have 15 seconds to answer this. Quick answers, get you more points. 6 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time up, and let's see what the answers are. Oh, this is a fairly well spread out. The correct answer was Tarkib. Let's look at who scored high. And Mayuresh followed by Viknesh. Okay, this is just the beginning. We will have more rounds. The second caselet. Which of the Z kit bag elements do you think is applicable in the case of Annie? 15 seconds to answer. Fastest answer gets you most points. Three, two, one. All right. Annie is about Ghadi Milao. Remember, she called up and somebody was not available and was taking a bath. Therefore, there need to be protocol and there need to be people who need to work on in a very coordinated manner. Let's look at who scored this well. Mekhala and Sunan. And Sunan followed by Viknesh. Next case study. Meet Jay. And look at your phone. Which of these elements do you think is applicable in the case of Jay? Four, three, two, one, go. Khabar. Jay has issues of people trusting and talking to each other and sharing what the issues are. Let's look at who got that right. One person. And that was Sunan. All right. So Sunan continues to lead the leaderboard. Let's look at the next question. Which of the Z kit bag elements do you think is applicable in the case of Suprabha? Three, two, one, go. Suprabha is a tough taskmaster, but she's not able to inculcate a sense of pride in the team. The team is lost. And therefore, it's an andaz issue. Three of you still got that right. That's good. Let's look at who are the three. Mansi, Vaibhav, and Lavanya. Okay, and Mansi moves into the second position. Let's look at the next case study of Raghav. Remember, Raghav has shared his information to 4 people, but the 5th person is not aware of what to do. And this is fairly well spread out as answer, but the correct answer is Irada, which is because this person is not aligned to what the solution or method is going to be to achieve. And let's see who got that right. Sunan continues to get that right along with Vaibhav. The 2 of you got that right. Sunan is on leaderboard, followed by Vaibhav, followed by Mansi. Second last case of Anupama. Anupama's team seems to be a little lost. Let's see what the answers are. This is about Zamini Nishan because the baseline, the SOPs themselves are not very clear or neither being followed. Let's see who got that right again. This is Viknesh and somebody with the name as 529462. So after Elon Musk, we have another one here. All right. We also have Agent X9. Awesome. Last case study, Sumit. Which of the Z kit bag element do you think is applicable in the case? The current SOPs have been drafted at the level of Sumit. The team is not aware of it. And therefore, it is an issue of khabar, information being available with the team. All right, 529462 gets that right. Let's look at the overall scoreboard. And Sunand is the leader. All right, guys. Moving back, before we close the session, koi shak ya sawal in the traditions of the Indian Armed Forces. Before they move into operations, they ensure that everybody is on the same page by using this phrase, koi shak ya sawal. If the last answer, Sunand, is khabar, koi shak, do you have any doubts? Ya sawal, ask your questions now. Because once you move into operations, you all are on the same page. So my question, my thing to you is koi shak ya sawal for the session that we've done. So any questions, you can use the chat or you can talk to me by unmuting yourself and ask me. Any questions, guys? Okay, while we wait for the questions and we can continue talking on the Menti, please go back to the Menti slide and please give us feedback. Menti, you can go to menti.com, use the code 529462. Sunand, I will share the handouts file to Dr. Chaturvedi and you can connect with him, or you can drop me your mail ID and I will share it with you. May I request all the participants to please give some feedback, and you can continue to ask me questions on voice or on the chat. Vignesh, I will not be able to extract the chat, and therefore you will need to ping me on my WhatsApp or on my mail ID. My mail ID is Zenil. You will need to please send me a mail for me to be able to send the handout to you.
Sir? Hello?
Yes, please.
Sir, there is a question.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, there is a question from Viknesh, I guess. How you are correlating with the concept? He wants to ask you.